Sanjeev here from Wondershare. And yes, you guessed it right. Today, we're talking montage. In this video, you will learn the origins of editing, 5 methods of montage, the Kuleshov Effect, and how Soviet filmmakers impacted today's short-form media. Montage comes from the French word monter, which means to assemble. The initial purpose of this technique was to deliver a message in a short time by capturing the key elements and arranging them in a way that makes sense of a cohesive or emotional concept. The birth of the idea was introduced by D.W. Griffith. He was one of the first to implement techniques like cross-cutting and cutting on action, as well as usage of close-ups and basic form of montage. That was the baseline of filmmaking that got worldwide exposure with the release of the film Intolerance. Then, theory was developed further by Lev Kuleshov, a Soviet filmmaker and theorist. He was one of the key figures in the European game of his time, and influenced generations of filmmakers decades ahead by the huge case study he did on Griffith's film. One of the main contributions of his was the Kuleshov Effect. He took a shot of a man with a neutral expression face, and created a few scenes combining it with a plate of delicious food, a lifeless woman in a coffin, and a gorgeous lady on a couch. And when he presented the experiment, the audience was absolutely fascinated with the actor's range of emotions. From crave and hunger over tasty food, grief and despair from the loss of the beloved woman, to the thirst and obsession over the beautiful young lady. Even though we know that the expression was exactly the same, the shots that it cut with expressed completely different ideas. Another influential experiment was to arrange shots of a smiling man, a pointing gun, and a frightened man. In initial order, the man appears to be weak and affected by the gun. But if to reverse the order of the shots, then suddenly the man appears brave and fearless. These are exactly the same shots, but the order of them impacts the message it conveys. Ooh, that knowledge just keeps pumping at you, huh? The final form of montage was theorized by Sergei Eisenstein, making him the montage daddy to this day. He preached 5 methods of montage. The first one is metric montage. To put simply, metric montage is a fancy way of saying that you can change how scenes feel by changing the duration of each shot. If you show short shots quickly, one after the other, it can feel fast and exciting. But if you show longer shots, it can feel slow, relaxing, and calm. So, by changing the duration of the shots, you can manipulate the audience into feeling certain emotions and making scenes more interesting. Next, rhythmic montage. It's very similar to metric because it's still about the rhythm, but this one goes beyond just the length of the shots and considers the auditory and visual pacing of a scene, whether it's created by movements, actions, or music. Then comes tonal montage. It's when filmmakers put together shots that all feel the same emotionally. It's like showing a series of shots that all make you feel happy, sad, or excited in a similar way. Next up, overtonal montage. This one's a step above the tonal one, but instead of conveying one simple feeling, this technique deals with the spectrum. By combining different shots that deliver different emotions, what creates a more sophisticated impact. It's like blending different visual notes together to create a more intricate and nuanced emotional chord. And lastly, intellectual montage. Not gonna lie, I feel a lot of passion towards this one. It involves arranging shots in a sequence to convey abstract concepts, ideas, or emotions that wouldn't be obvious immediately. Like the shot of the mouse falling for the trap, intercut with Richard convincing Lucy to bring the case into the building, which represents that Lucy is getting in trouble. Now that we've covered the origins and basics of this fascinating technique, let's briefly dive into how it influenced visual media and storytelling throughout its existence. In 1930s, the European montage technique reached Hollywood. Filmmakers like John Ford and Orson Welles incorporated elements of montage like cross-cutting and non-linear editing into their films. 1940s, World War II. That was the age of propaganda, and montage played a huge part in it. Both Soviet and Nazi politics realized how impactful this technique can be to manipulate the emotions of masses, what I believe played a significant role in convincing so many people in a single ideology. In 1950s, the French New Wave emerged. In 2 words, the whole point of which was to make movies with lower production value, but getting them done with taste. montage played a crucial role in the filmmaking style of that time, contributing to the innovative and groundbreaking approach to storytelling. In 1980s was the birth of MTV. It revolutionized the music industry and introduced music videos to mainstream audiences. With limited airtime, directors and artists were forced to find a way to capture attention, match rhythm of songs, and convey emotions effectively. 2000s, digital renaissance. The rapid development in software and digital hardware industries made filming and editing a lot more accessible. The birth of social media made distribution easier than ever. People with no previous film backgrounds picked up cameras and started making videos. Viral challenges, yearly recaps, event highlights, and family videos have often been based on montage. The amount of video creations on the internet grew drastically. People got inspired from each other again and again and kept pushing the boundary of impossible all the way up to today. Now, montage is huge in content creation. Throughout the years, many montage influences arose and launched whole style movements. A few of them stood out, like Casey Neistat, with his fast-paced rhythmic montages, usage of time lapses, and narrative storytelling style. Dan Mace with his remarkable stop-motion animation, dynamic, innovative editing, and focus on the emotional impact. As well as Peter McKinnon with his cinematic B-roll, slow-mo, and seamless transitions. At this point, most of the viral ideas use sophisticated montage techniques developed back in the 1920s, and I think there's something beautiful about it. It's evident that this technique is not merely a string of shots pieced together. It's an intricate dance of emotion, rhythm, and thought. It's more than just editing. It's storytelling in its purest form. From its origins in silent films to the digital age of today, montage has been a window into our shared human experience, offering filmmakers and content creators the power to manipulate emotions, ignite inspiration, and craft unforgettable stories. And I am looking forward to what you, the content creator of tomorrow, will do with all this inspiration around you. Steal like an artist, create whatever makes you feel alive, and inspire generations further. You are awesome, fam. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.